Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Heilman and today I'd like to talk to you about my solution for a modular workbench system. If you're like me and you like doing woodworking, you like engaging in various projects on the weekends, and you may not have a whole lot of space in your house, in your basement, in your garage for a nice big setup or build in a bunch of cabinets, or you're hesitant of getting something permanently installed or getting too far into a workbench or workshop setup that you want to have options remain open, perhaps this solution would work for you. I put a great deal of thought into this and I took a lot of inspiration off of other people's ideas, namely Ron Polk, a contractor out in Oregon who has several videos online if you search for him. He has a great solution that he's implemented in a box truck that he can bring his wood shop with him. So there's certain aspects of that that inspired this design. If you're looking for a place for wood storage, if you're looking for tool storage and you want something with drawers, if you want to be able to rearrange your shop, if you want to have table saw a run out for your table saw as you're running sheet goods or large long pieces that you're ripping across your table saw, this provides that as well. It also, if you build other stations for this, depending on how many stations or components that you yourself build for this, you can create a great deal of flexibility. And you can even build in sections for other components such as a compound miter saw, or we'll show examples of that. We'll show an example of a dovetail jig mounted to a section. It can be removed and replaced with a flat section if you need project area. So it's very versatile, very flexible, and it's the cost is fairly low based on how I constructed it. And we'll take a look at the design here. You can also run different designs concurrently, or different operations in your shop concurrently. If you want to do ripping on your table saw of sheet goods, depending on how you configure that setup, you can also have your miter saw set up in another area and run that piece right over and do a cross cut on that at the same time. So it doesn't require sticking with a single operation depending on how many components you have and how you arrange that. So again, very flexible, very versatile. Let's take a look. As you can see from the tool cabinet design, I kept things very simple. It doesn't even have a drawer pull necessarily, it just has a simple hole cut in the center of the face of the drawer itself. Also, the drawer supports, I used no real manufactured slides for this. I simply ran dados into the sides, the plywood sides of the cabinet to support this, and used a plywood bottom for the drawer. And then I constructed the sides and back of the drawer, and you can see it provides a great deal of storage. And if you run these in even spacing, you can run single high drawers all the way down to a double high drawer, and also place a great deal of material in there. And I put it on casters so that you can move them around your shop as you need to. Very handy, and it provides a work surface that's the same height as everything else, including your table saw. For the sections that combine the placed workbenches, and they're still movable, but they're larger workbenches, so I don't move them all that frequently, but I can if I need to. I place French cleats on the sides, and then I also have the tool cabinets here, but I have bridging sections in between that are held in place by the French cleats that I used. Notice you can remove them right from that location, and it opens things up for you, and you can replace that with another section with a mounted tool if you need to. One of the mounted tool options that I've used is I created another section that fills in the flat section I was able to just remove, which is located right over here. So I just store that off to the side, but this other section I created, I was able to mount my Rockler dovetail jig to that section. So it's hard mounted, easy to use then, and when I don't need it, I can simply lift this section up and store it safely out of the way, and replace it with the temporary section or the bridging section to complete the table saw runout or workspace that I need. One of the components that I was able to build for this system included a lower deck portion for my DeWalt miter saw. I was able to permanently mount it to this section, but then as you can see I can span between one of my workbenches and one of the toolboxes. Using the French cleats to hang it in place and a framework underneath to make it a good sturdy support, and creating a deck on top of it that I was able to secure the saw to, it's firmly in place. The nice feature of this is that I can also cut long stock on this because it's all the same height as the rest of the work system. So it offers a lot of flexibility and stability while you're doing your cuts. The discharge of the table saw is all connected by the railing on the discharge side of the table saw. There's a slot, using the rigid R4512, there's a slot underneath that I was able to connect some boards to and create this connecting piece with the French cleats on it. So that made a very nice platform on which to start the discharge and connect the table saw through to the first bench and start creating that nice long run out for my table saw. I was also able to use a dado groove and run that in as a continuation for my slots on the table saw surface, so you can use your miter gauge, or if you're going to use any kind of a cross-cut sled or something like that, you can go and use that system and it's not going to obstruct your tooling that you use with your table saw. Very versatile, very flexible, and it's awesome having this nice run out that's all the same height as your table saw. One of the other nice features of this whole work system is that I was able to incorporate other ideas. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I've taken ideas from magazines and from the internet and different sources out there and created a bunch of these little storage bins for some of the hardware that I use commonly. It also uses a French cleat system, and I keep them grouped up in another area of my shop where I keep all of my hardware. But using the French cleat system on the workbench setup, I can also place that right there, and I don't have to worry about having a screw container or a box of screws sitting on top of the bench that could potentially get knocked over or knocked out of the way. I can hang the box of screws right there or move it around to different locations. Not that it's immune from falling off from those locations, but perhaps you'll have a corner where you can just put it and keep it safely out of the way, just below the surface of the bench, and you can easily access your hardware and continue building your project. So again, this is my workbench setup. It's modular, it's versatile, it provides storage both for wood pieces and for down below for the wood pieces, and it also provides hardware storage or additional tool storage. You can move things around, you can make adjustments for other hardware or other tools that you want to use, or you can just have a nice large flat surface for table saw run out. However you want to construct it, it all depends on how many pieces that you build and how you want to configure your shop. And it doesn't necessarily require that you're attaching things to walls or building something in permanently. So if you like the idea, feel free to use it. You can contact me with any questions about dimensions or potentially working through some planning. As always, be safe, have fun, and thank you for watching.